Greetings from Ludhiana. At the offset, I would like to thank Dr. Vitul Gupta for giving me an opportunity to present a topic which is very dear to my heart and which is the need of the society. We are here to discuss about cardiac health awareness in women, India versus the global scenario. So, traditionally, we all know that women have been considered to be protected from coronary artery disease and cardiovascular diseases, especially in the premenopausal age group. Women, we know, have higher mortality due to cardiovascular disease with the unique risk factors that they have, like pregnancy and autoimmune disease. Also, women might have varied presentation which deviates from routine and can get easily ignored. Contrary to previous beliefs, women need to be more aware of their cardiovascular risk profile. Having said that, let's have a look into what are the female specific risk factors and conditions. So, when we talk of risk factors and the cardiovascular conditions which involve women, we have certain female specific cardiovascular disease risk factors like pregnancy related hypertension, gestational hypertension, preeclampsia, eclampsia, gestational diabetes, polycystic ovarian syndrome, and we also have some predominant female specific risk factors like autoimmune diseases, rheumatoid arthritis, SLE, breast cancer, and so on. At the same time, there are some cardiovascular diseases which specifically would occur in women only, like peripartum cardiomyopathy. And then we have some female predominant cardiovascular risk conditions which are more found in women as compared to men. And these include myocardial infarction with non-obstructive coronary arteries, also fondly known as MINOCA, Takotsubo cardiomyopathy, NOCAD, microvascular dysfunction, endothelial dysfunction, HFpEF, spontaneous coronary artery dissection, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, coronary vasospasm, pulmonary hypertension, and so on, which are more predominantly seen in women. So, having said that, we also need to understand that men and women are different. They are different structurally and pathophysiologically with several differences. For instance, women will have smaller left ventricles. Their aging is more attenuated as compared to men. They have higher incidence of HFpEF. They develop less diastolic compliance as they age. They have higher parasympathetic activities. The women who develop post-menopause, they have higher inflammatory markers and an acceleration in their atherosclerosis. And also, the metabolic insufficiency is relatively seen more in women because of less uptake of glucose and more use of fatty acids. Even electrophysiologically, if we look at women, their QTC intervals are longer, they have higher chances of developing a torsades, and they have lower intensity of the IKR and IKI potassium channels. When they develop diabetes, women are at 4 times more risk as compared to men. And when hypertension is said, they have less amount of it, probably due to the protectory effects of vasodilatory estrogen. The stroke volume in women is lower, they have higher resting heart rates, the cardiac output is similar, and they develop more rise in ejection fraction as they age. Also, when we look at ischemic heart disease, women behave differently with less number of women presenting with chest pain to the tune of just 30%. They have more atypical symptoms, more heart failure, more cardiogenic shock, higher rates of restenosis, more hospital complications, and yes, they have adverse left ventricular remodeling as compared to men. Women are also different when we talk of the plaque morphology. They have higher prevalence of plaque erosion and lower prevalence of plaque rupture when compared to men. Their lesions are less calcified, more diffuse, with more outward remodeling. With so many differences we have talked of, women still have less utilization of cardiac resources available to them. Their door to balloon times are much longer as compared to men. Their first medical contact to device time in any case is longer. They are less referred for revascularization, they get less cardiac rehabilitation, and they get less evidence based treatment. So, when women are so much different than men with higher mortalities and so much of cardiovascular disease to their need, Still, the rehabilitation in the women continues to be low. Women have higher microvascular dysfunction, higher coronary blood flows at rest, a lower coronary flow reserve, more prevalent vascular dysfunction, and yes, so many other disorders like psychosomatic disorders are higher in women with more depression, and they're also more sensitive when we talk of the different varieties of pollution, be it noise pollution or air pollution. They have more sleep disorders and more functional disabilities even after they have been revascularized. So, if this is the status of women, where are we when we talk of the sex ratio in our country? In our country, we still have 107.48 males as compared to 100 females, which is the sex ratio which is higher than as we compare to the rest of the world. So the scenario in India is even worse as compared to the rest of the world. The sex ratio is higher even in the world with roughly 105 males to 100 females, but in India we are even higher. So when we have this kind of sex ratio with less number of women as compared to number of men, we are still not taking care of our women who have significant amount of heart problems. And the global fact is that cardiovascular ailment in the women is quite high. World over, 1 in 16 women, who are age 20 or older would have CAD, but in Asian women, we have this rate of 1 in 30. And if we look at the mortality which occurs in them because of CAD, it is much more higher as compared to all the cancers, like the commonly talked of cancers like breast cancer, endometrial cancer, etc. in women. The death rate is much higher, which is attributed to CAD, than that of breast cancers or all the other breast cancer, uterine cancer, cervical carcinoma, etc. Despite the mortality which has come down in males with the kind of facilities that have been developed, women still hover to have higher mortality rates, and there's not much change in the trend of mortality in women. So, 1 in 5 women die with heart disease as compared to 1 in 30 with breast cancer. More women die of CVD than compared to men. 1 year mortality post MI is higher in women, 42% as compared to 24% in women. 1 year yearly rise in CV mortality is again, seen in females, and this is occurring more and more as compared to a lowering trend in men, and 64% of women are still dying because of CAD who were previously asymptomatic. So, having said that, we do understand that women have some conditions which are different. We have women more than 40 years who are from lower socioeconomic status, those who are widowed and divorced, especially. There are certain facts which have been reported by the epidemiological studies that these are the women, who are more prone to development of cardiovascular disease. Definitely, the traditional risk factors like diabetes, hypertension, obesity, and diet are the risk factors in the women in the age group when they have the tendency of developing atherosclerosis. The treatment seeking behavior is also higher in women who are from upper socioeconomic status. The women who are married seek more treatment, but the unmarried women, the premenopausal women, the women from lower socioeconomic status are usually not, their complaints are not addressed to and ignored. So, autonomy, accessibility, affordability, they all influence the treatment seeking behavior in women. So, having said that, we can have a look at this graph, which tells us about the mortality ratios, and we can clearly see that mortality ratios for CAD are much higher in the Asian countries like India and Pakistan as compared to other countries where the mortality ratios are almost equivalent in men and women. And that stands also true for the Indian diasporas who are living in the countries abroad. And if we look at Indian scenario, nearly as high incidence of heart disease is seen in women in India as compared to men, in spite of the fact that they smoke less. Amongst the Indian diasporas who are residing abroad, it is found that excess burden of heart disease is seen in Indian women as compared to the Indian men who are residing over there. The decline in the CAD rates is also lower in our South Asians, especially so in the women who are residing abroad. Also, as Asian Indians, we have increased CAD mortality amongst the South Asian women, and there is an eightfold higher CAD mortality in Asian Indian women, as reported in a Chinese study, and in a study which compared Chinese and white women with the Indian women. So having said that one is that women per se are ignored, women per se are prone to development of cardiovascular ailment, which is usually not thought of, that doesn't actually strike our mind. We think women have got less cardiac problems, and whereas we've just now seen that there is enough evidence to back that women have got higher incidence of coronary artery disease and CVD mortality, much higher than the usually talked of problems like breast cancer. And even if we compare, we change the area of residence, women continue to be less aware, more ignored by themselves as well as their physicians. And let us look at the kind of CAD they have. There is higher prevalence of severe and extensive disease in women. Triple vascular disease is seen in around 40% of women, as compared to, uh, as compared to the fact that most of the women, who actually present with CAD might actually be premenopausal. So even 56% of this kind of triple vessel disease would be seen in the premenopausal women who would present with coronary artery disease. To say that we cannot ignore a woman who is presenting in premenopausal age, we'll be discussing about how these women are different in the coming slides. Also, the Canadian angiographic study has shown that Asian Indian women are twice as likely to have left main or triple vessel disease as compared to white men. So, atherogenic dyslipidemia, which occurs in Indian women, might actually be the culprit. So, as women, if we talk of the prevalence of CAD, it's more diffuse, more incidence of triple vessel disease, especially when women acquire CAD in the premenopausal age group. And the etiology could be an underlying atherogenic dyslipidemia with more of small dense LDLs and hypotriglyceridemia. And yes, when we talk of health awareness, there have been Queen of Heart campaigns, which studied 450 million of women in India and tried to create awareness on CVD. There was a Vedna survey which was conducted on Indian women, in which it was found that 83% of the doctors believe that Indian women are ignorant about their disease. 76% believe that women die because of heart diseases because they come late to the hospital. 66% of them, even when they present in time, they actually are diagnosed late. So the Vedna survey also found that there was a 20% growth in CVD amongst the women in last 5 years, and 41% of the doctors claimed that there is 10 to 15% growth in CVD, especially in the women who are premenopausal in the age group of 20 to 40 years. And if we look at the million death study, which looked at the deaths which were there and the etiological factors, it was found that CVD was a leading cause of death amongst women, and there was a greater CVD mortality, again, as mentioned before, because of their different risk assessments, problems in them, delayed diagnosis, less management, delayed management, low quality of interventions, and yes, a fewer option and plans for their rehabilitation for long-term management and secondary prevention. So even ACC/AHA did declare that heart disease is the primary killer of the women. Having said that, we also need to understand the different pattern of IHD in women, which could either be a non-obstructive CAD in the form of NOCAD, several functional disorders of the coronary microcirculation, clinically relevant sex differences occur in plaque morphology, which we just saw in the tabular form with fewer calcifications, more diffuse obstruction, less focal obstruction, diffuse pattern of atherosclerosis, outward remodeling, and softer plaques. So, because of all these differences, the women will have a variant presentation. They may not really present with typical anginas, and a distinct presentation means that we need to approach these women in a different way. We need to have a more gender specific diagnostic and therapeutic approach. And this was a recent article in European Cardiology Review, which did state that cardiology for women is not a religion for cardiofeminists. We are not here to talk because we are cardiofeminists, but there is an evolving scientific field with enough evidence based data which needs to be implemented into clinical practice. We need a cultural shift in cardiology. We need to realize that we are not just here to talk of women, we are here to talk because they are pathologically, physiologically, anatomically, structurally, morphologically different, and we have enough evidence. We need to have there more representation in trials, or maybe have trials conducted specifically for women, so that we can study their cardiovascular disorders and treat them accordingly. So why do we need to be aware, and what are the differences? The thing is, we need to be deviating from our traditional stenotic way of thinking. We cannot have the same tunnel vision looking at what is the lesion significance in a patient. Rather, we need to look at them in a different manner, study their functional disorders of ischemic heart disease in acute as well as in chronic settings. We need to have less of misdiagnosis and less of mistreatment, and we need to be looking at the kind of diagnostic and invasive procedures which might be needed in women, and especially at the sake of repeating them again and again and again, we rather need to look at their physiologies and hit our targets. So we have already discussed that women might have an atypical presentation, an increased MACE and adverse events, the different available diagnostic tests like an exercise ECG or stress echo, or even as said that with different nuclear tests, when we talk of their sensitivities and specificities, the ECG, the stress ECG might have, or what we call as this routine treadmill exercise testing, might have a lower sensitivity and specificity as compared to stress echo, which might be almost as equivalent. However, when we talk of myocardial perfusion imaging with SPECT, we need to have considering and interpreting the data with caution because of the smaller left ventricular chambers that women have, the breast tissue attenuation artifacts that we might have in them. And similarly with PET and CMR, they can have high diagnostic accuracy, especially when we are talking of microvascular dysfunction in women. So we have already discussed about the delayed diagnosis, atypical presentation, and how we have longer door to balloon times in women, and less women are receiving diagnostic angiograms. And we also have discussed about the different CV risk factors. We are not just having routine diabetes, hypertension, age, dyslipidemia. We have several female specific and female predominant risk factors which have been discussed, like diabetes, like menopausal state, like preeclampsia, eclampsia, pregnancy associated risk factors, PIH, maternal-placental syndromes, stillbirths, and so on and on. We've discussed about autoimmune disease and the roles that protective roles that estrogens have to play. So we've already discussed that the sensitivity and specificity of a routine treadmill testing might be low in women, and though dobutamine stress echo might have almost similar results in men and women, we can think of going in for more functional tests when women are presenting with angina, especially when it is typical. We should go ahead and perform a coronary angio, and if it reveals an obstructive lesion, we should treat it as CAD. However, when it is non-obstructive, we should rule out the other causes and then go for diagnostic modalities like performing an acetylcholine test, or when the coronary flow reserve is less than 2, maybe we can go ahead with adenosine dipyrimidinol test, and we can look whether we are having an endothelial dependent or an independent disease that is there in the women, so that we can hit our targets respectively. So we need to evaluate our patients with non-obstructive coronary artery disease even more, and look where the level of dysfunction is, whether it is an endothelial dependent or independent function. So it's very important to have that cardiac health awareness in women who are different, whose symptoms might be different, who might have atypical presentations with more concomitant functional CAD rather than just epicardial obstructive lesions. So we have several tools which we have just now seen which are available. We can study their flow reserves, the fractional flow reserves. We can study their endothelium with the help of the available agents. And we also need to realize that hypertension is a major trigger for coronary vascular dysfunction in women. And we need to specially hit at the female specific risk factors, and that too in time. That means that when they get pregnant, pregnancy is in itself a stress test for a woman's life, it is believed. So when she has pregnancy induced hypertension, she has preeclampsia, she has peripartum cardiomyopathy, when she has gestational diabetes, this is the time when we need to act and follow them up so that we can act on them and remove these gender discrepancies in care. So only around 30%, 30 to 35% of the women receive their treatment, whatever the treatment be it, whether it's an open heart surgery or an angioplasty or an ICD, women are getting it much lesser, and a less number of them are participating. So awareness is lacking, and whether it's lacking just in India, or no, it's not the case. It's lacking world over. In fact, in an AHA survey which studied the 15 years trend, it was found only around 30% of white women were aware of having their cardiac disease, as compared to 15 or 20 of black or Hispanic women. And when they studied this over a period of 15 years, even at the end of 15 years, those 33% were up to max 70 or 60% aware that they could have a cardiac problem in white women. But the blacks and the Hispanics were yet just 30 to 35% aware that they could be having heart disease as a leading cause of death. So there is a need to go read by the AHA, which says that women need to identify, fight back, form clubs, from groups, so that they can be aware of their cardiac health. We at our center at the Anand Medical College and Hospital have done a study which has studied about the cardiac health awareness which is there amongst the women who are coming to us at our tertiary care center. And we had the time trends over 15 years studied, and we did identify that coronary artery disease was not uncommon in female gender. It was accompanied by varied symptom presentation, and cardiac health awareness is significantly lacking amongst women as compared to men. And this is what we found. Only 28% of women presented for a routine health checkup, and these trends remained almost similar, varying from, there's a slight improvement from what was 22% to 28%, but still around 70 to 65 to 70% of the patients presenting to health checkup are still males. So there's only around 28 to 30% of patients who present to us for a routine health checkup who want to get themselves checked for a cardiac status are females, only to that tune, less than 30%. And that trend has remained static across all the age groups. So we have got very less number of premenopausal women who think that they will have a heart problem and who present for a health checkup. So less number of premenopausal as compared to peri and postmenopausal women present for a routine cardiac health checkup. And even when they present, it has been found that the differences of having less number of women presenting for a routine health checkup remains same across the urban as well as the rural centers. So we had around 30% of the women who were coming to us from rural centers, as compared to around 70% who were coming from the urban centers. So even lesser number of women in the rural area are aware that they could be having a CAD, or those who want to get themselves tested for it. So static low trends of women attendance for a routine health checkup were identified at our center, with a subtle improvement in the trend, with what was 22% around 10 to 15 years is now around 28% of women coming for a health checkup. And if we look at the trends of acute coronary events, the acute coronary events have shown a trend of uprise. More and more women are now presenting with acute coronary syndromes. If we look at the different time zones over the last, I would say, 18 years, there has been a rise in the proportion of women presenting with acute coronary syndrome. So, with this trend of rise, we need to be more aware. And our study did conclude that female sex has several female specific and female predominant cardiovascular risk factors and CV disease patterns. We have varied IHT patterns in women like NOCAD, atypical and delayed presentation. We've got several diagnostic dilemmas, suboptimal guideline directed medical therapy, and less aggressive and late intervention notable in women. There are persistent poor cardiovascular outcomes and high mortality in women, especially in the Asian women. So, lack of cardiac health awareness amongst women appears to be a global phenomenon, and it warrants an urgent attention. Recommendations and necessary action steps for a women oriented cardiac program is the need of hour. And we also understand that preventive cardiac health checking behavior is significantly lacking in women. Static trends have been observed, especially in the premenopausal age group, and pregnancy and autoimmune diseases, and several female specific and predominant risk factors need to be identified, especially in younger women. And that is when we will be able to achieve this women oriented cardiac program goal that we are looking at. And that's all that I have to say. Thank you.